Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day to everyone. Today we are from Group 4 of AC220 Basics and will be presenting our MAF661 Strategic Management Group Presentation Assignment on case study number 20 of Apple Incorporation. So, our group consists of 6 group members, which is Dhia Urraida Qistina Binti Muhammad Kamal, me, Muhammad Khalish Khaleed bin Muhammad Inri Fariman, Nadhira Binti Nur Azman, Suraya Syahreena Binti Abdul Halim, Nurjuliana Maisara Binti Khariulhata, and Syzeera Shamimi Binti Ridwan. And this will be the contents that we'll be presenting today in our group presentation.
To begin our presentation, let's take a closer look at the background of Apple Incorporated. It is renowned for revolutionizing consumer electronics with products like the iPhone, Mac, and iPad. Founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, Apple has grown into one of the world's most valuable companies. The company focuses on high-quality design, seamless integration of hardware and software, and delivering exceptional user experiences. Apple product offerings extend beyond devices to services like Apple Music, iCloud, and Apple TV+, which have become major contributors to its revenue, demonstrating the company's diversified approach to business and innovation. This is the timeline history of Apple Incorporated. In 1976, Apple was founded by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. They launched the Apple I, a personal computer that laid the foundation for company future innovations. In 1984, Apple introduced the Macintosh, a revolutionary personal computer with a graphical user interface, making computers more accessible and user-friendly. In 1997, Steve Jobs returned as CEO and Apple acquired Next, bringing in new technologies and ideas that will shape the future of Apple products. In 2001, Apple launched the iPod, changing the music industry. Other than that, in the same year, Apple also opened its first retail store, marking the beginning of direct-to-consumer approach. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone, merging a phone, music player, and internet device into one, and officially became Apple Incorporated to reflect its broader approach. In 2010, the iPad was released, marking Apple's entry into the tablet market. In 2011, after Steve Jobs passed away, Tim Cook became the CEO. Apple also launched iCloud, introducing cloud-based storage and services. In 2014, Apple launched the Apple Watch, entering the wearable tech market, and Apple Pay, a secure mobile payment system. In 2022, Apple became the first company in history to reach a $3 trillion market capitalization. So that's all for the timeline history.
Thank you, Dhia. My name is Suraya, and today I'll be presenting on Apple Incorporated business level strategy. We'll explore how Apple differentiates itself in the competitive technology landscape and why this approach has been so successful. Let's begin. Apple's success is built on a foundation of differentiation, which revolve around three core pillars. First, product innovation and design. Apple doesn't just create their product, it refines them to perfection. Take, for example, the M series chip, which delivers unparalleled performance, or the Retina displays and Face ID technology that set Apple device apart. These innovations are not just functional, they are iconic, blending sleek aesthetic with cutting-edge technology. Second, the ecosystem integration. Apple's real genius lies in how its device and services work seamlessly together. Whether you're using an iPhone, Mac, or Apple Watch, the experience is unified and intuitive. Services like iCloud and Apple Pay further deepen this integration, creating a sticky ecosystem that encourages customer loyalty. Finally, brand recognition and loyalty. Apple has cultivated a brand that symbolizes innovation, quality, and exclusivity. This isn't just accidental, it's the result of meticulous design, marketing, and customer support, like Apple Care and the renowned retail store. Together, these elements create a powerful differentiator that keeps customers coming back. Now, let's discuss why Apple has committed so deeply to this strategy. The first reason is the competitive advantage. In markets saturated with alternatives like smartphone, Apple differentiation allows it to command premium price. While competitors compete on cost, Apple competes on value, and consumers are willing to pay for it. Another critical motivation is revenue diversification. Apple has strategically expanded into services like Apple TV and Apple Pay, which now account for a significant portion of its revenue. These services not only generate high margin recurring income, but also reduce Apple's reliance on hardware sales, creating a more stable financial foundation. Ecosystem lock-in is equally important. Once customers invest in Apple's ecosystem, the cost of switching both financially and in terms of convenience becomes prohibitive. This locks in over 1.8 million users, ensuring long-term profitability. Apple's commitment to innovation leadership is another driving force. Whether it's venturing into AR or VR headset or autonomous vehicles, Apple's differentiation strategy aligns with its core identity as a pioneer. Lastly, operational efficiency plays a supporting role. By optimizing its supply chain and manufacturing processes, Apple funds its R&D effort while maintaining healthy margins. This balance between innovation and efficiency is what makes Apple's strategy so resilient.
The reason business level strategy did not work out for Apple. The first one is Apple's business level strategy faces challenges due to market saturation in strategic product categories like smartphone, where sales of smartphone are barely increasing, and consumer delay upgrades due to incremental model changes. And the impact for this is this add pressure on Apple to figure out where to grow next, and if that is not successful, a business level strategy is not fully working. The secondly is Apple's premium pricing limits its reach in developing markets where even older iPhones remain costly. And the impact for this is this limits Apple's share of expanding developing market that are also large and grow quickly, with rival companies such as Xiaomi, Samsung, and Realme winning these geographies with cheaper option. Apple lost out on growth by scale in these regions. And the lastly is regulatory issues around the App Store also strain the strategy. And the impact for this is this struggle have the potential to improve a large chunk of Apple's services revenue, which is a central tenet of its growth strategy, as well as as well complicate its brand image and ramp up compliance costs.
So now, we're talking about the Apple's main corporate level strategy, which is related diversification. So Apple's main corporate level strategy is centered on its related diversification, which means expanding into new but connected product or markets to create synergy and strengthen its business core. This has allowed Apple to grow while maintaining synergy across its products and services. We can break this down into 4 components: core competencies, sharing activities, market power, and vertical integration. So the first component within related diversification is core competencies. Which is a company using its existing strengths or features, for example design and technology, across multiple products. Apple leverages its foundational strength across multiple business units, which is Apple uses its deep expertise in hardware and software integration, design, and ecosystem innovation to create synergies across products like the iPhone, iMac, and Apple Watches. Second component is sharing activities. Sharing resources like software, resource and development, or marketing across business units. Apple benefits significantly from sharing activities across its business segments. As an example, Apple shares software platforms like iOS across devices, bundles service through Apple One, and integrates resource and development and supply chain operations to reduce cost and also maintains its quality. So the third component within related diversification is market power, which means gaining control or influence over suppliers, customers, or competitors. Apple's integrated strategy has allowed it to achieve considerable market power, which means Apple's leverages its brand and ecosystem to control distribution and develop access, especially through the App Store. This enhances the influence over both consumers and third parties. Finally, is vertical integration, controlling more stages of the own value chain, which means that making own chips and selling directly to customers. Apple practices vertical integration by owning multiple stages of its value chain. As an example, Apple controls the entire product journey from designing their own chip, like Apple Silicon, and to selling directly through their retail stores. This ensures a high product quality and a good user experience. So moving on to the motivation on Apple's adopting corporate level strategy. So we want to know, why does Apple pursue this related diversification strategy? So there are 3 main points. Firstly is improve quality and performance. By owning hardware and software, Apple can tightly control the user experience and ensure device platform at their high peak levels. Second is reduce dependency on third-party suppliers. Developing an in-house technologies like Apple Silicon chips helps reduce reliance on suppliers and protect against global supply chain disruptions. Thirdly, enter high-margin service markets. Services like iCloud and Apple TV allow Apple to earn steady, recurring revenue by diversifying its income beyond just their hardware.
The reason corporate level strategy did not work out for Apple. The first one is Apple's over reliance on Chinese manufacturing exposes it to geopolitical and pandemic related disruption. The impact for this is by relying so heavily on one manufacturer, Apple has made itself vulnerable in its quest for for its resilient supply chain, which is vital if it wants to guarantee stable product delivery and margins around the world during period of crisis. Secondly, is content venture. Apple TVs lags behind competitors in user scale and engagement. The impact for this is this dilutes Apple's goal to establish its own far-reaching ecosystem of devices and services. The digital content strategy has not yet emerged as a strong growth engine relative to its other business units. As lastly, Apple's tightly controlled ecosystem invites global antitrust scrutiny. Impact: this scrutiny could jeopardize Apple's integrated model that is core to its cross-product monetization and synergy. It also leaves Apple open to fines, compel changes, and public relation consequences.
Apple journey aligned with the typical stages of industrial life cycle, with strategic changes in both business level strategy and corporate level strategy. Firstly, for introduction stage in the beginning, Apple concentrated on creating standout products like iPhone and changed the landscape of smartphone industry. Their business level strategy was focused on offering something different from the competition. At the same time, Apple corporate level strategy was aimed to diversifying into various technology markets, including music and retail, to position itself as comprehensive tech brand. Next, for growth stage, as Apple product became more popular, its business level strategy shifted to focus on brand loyalty by offering customer an integrated ecosystem such as iPhone, iPad, and iCloud. For corporate level strategy, Apple made key acquisition like buying Beats to expand its services and offer more product to customers beyond just hardware. For maturity stage, at this point, Apple's business level strategy turned toward making small improvements to existing product, maintaining customer loyalty, and expanding into new product categories like the Apple Watch. In terms of corporate level strategy, the company focused on refining its main product and exploring new sources of revenue, especially services, wearable, and digital subscription, reducing their dependence on the traditional product sales. And lastly, for decline stage, in the decline phase, where growth of physical products slowed, Apple business level strategy adapted by putting more focus on growing its services sector, such as Apple Music and iCloud, to keep customer engaged. Its corporate level strategy shifted to diversifying into new products and services, including development of autonomous car and augmented reality headsets, to ensure continued growth and relevance in the market. This shows how Apple consistently adjusting its strategy at every stage its life cycle to stay competitive and drive long-term growth.
How strategic concept contribute to Apple's value? The first one is outsourcing, the second one is merger and acquisition, and the last one is internal development. The first one is outsourcing. Outsourcing is the process by which a business assigns certain aspect of its operation to other specialized company. In this case, Apple used business like Foxconn to handle its manufacturing outsourcing. Products like iPhones are made in Asia after being created in the United States. The contribution of value is enable quicker product delivery and worldwide reach. It's also lower cost and boost manufacturing efficiency and scale. It's also allow Apple to concentrate on its core competencies, which include design, innovation, and also marketing. The second one is mergers and acquisition. This occurs when a business acquires or merges with another business in order to expand rapidly or acquire new skill. In Apple's case, Beat Electronic, which helped Apple to enter the music streaming market and develop AirPod and Apple Music. For the second one is intermodern division. It also boosts Apple's ability to build its own wireless chip. Contribution of value is it helps Apple to enter market faster. Its internalization of cutting-edge technology. It strengthens its ecosystem and improve the experience for customers. The third one is internal development. Internal development is when a company creates new product, technology, or capabilities using its own resources and team. In Apple case, it's designed its own processor, for example, M1, M2, and M3 chips. It's also developed custom software, iOS, macOS, iPad, and etc. It also built proprietary features like Face ID, Siri, and custom hardware component. The contribution of value is maintain tight control over its product quality and innovation. It's create highly integrated system, hardware, and software. It also reduce dependency on third parties and protect intellectual property.
I am Syzeera and I'll be explaining other relevant industry issue for Apple strategy future, and we will look at 5 aspects. Firstly, legal and regulatory pressure. From a corporate government's perspective, Apple faced increasing antitrust securities in key markets such as United States and Europe Union. So regulatory bodies are examining its App Store policy and payment system, which may be perceived as monopolistic. And this legal challenge pose a threat to Apple business level strategy of ecosystem integration and may require strategic adjustment to maintain compliance while protecting profitability. Next, global supply chain vulnerability. Apple over reliance on China for manufacturing exposed it to geopolitical tension like tariff and operational disruption. This creates significant strategic risk in its value chain, and to enhance long-term resilient and ethical supply chain government, Apple must consider diversification strategy, potentially by investing in regional manufacturing hub. On the other hand, sustainability and green technology is also an issue. Sustainability has become a key driver of corporate legitimacy, and stakeholders, including investor, customer, and regulators, are demanding stronger environmental performance. Although Apple has notable progress towards carbon neutrality, it must integrate sustainability deeper into its corporate level strategy to gain competitive advantages, particularly in its environmental conscious market. Lastly, technological advancement. Disruptive technology like AI, AR, and digital health are reshaping the industry, and for Apple to sustain its differentiation strategy, it must continue to innovate and invest in research and development. Furthermore, this emerging field offer avenues for related diversification, aligning it with Apple corporate strategy to expand beyond hardware into digital services and wellness of ecosystem. On to the last part, which is the conclusion. Apple business level strategy of strong production differentiation coupled with corporate level strategy of related diversification has enabled it to build one of the most powerful brands in the world, and this strategy have fueled not only profitability but also global market leadership. However, tech industry is rapidly evolving, and Apple must adapt to external pressure, technological disruption, and shift in customer expectation, and the next phase of growth will depend on how well Apple can innovate its services, respond to legal and environmental demands, and strategically position itself in emerging areas like AI and digital health. Ultimately, Apple's ability to sustain its success will rest on continuous reinvention while staying true to the core value of user aesthetic design, privacy, and ecosystem integration. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
This is the plan of work in the form of Gantt chart for our group. Thank you.